Well, good day to you. It is January the 23rd, or 123, which, if you know anything about math, is the square root of 15,129. Now, I know you're not here for dad jokes or math jokes, but my name is Gary Willing, and I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. If you are new, and if you've been here before, I want to welcome you back. But here we talk about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, why they're here, why is it important that they're coming back, a bit about his priorities, those kind of things. From time to time, I even read articles coming from one of these masters and so forth, so we can learn more about this information this way. But if you want to know more about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, educate yourself better about it. You're free to do it. Look into the links that I provided in the description portion of these videos, because they take you to websites that give you really good background information about what we talk about in some way. So they're there for you if and whenever you want to look into it. Want to join the discussion? Post comments, post your question in the comments section, email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. You can even reach out to me through Facebook. And I want to thank those people who have done just that. Ashwak Radadi, thank you. Asaya G, Youssef Muhammad, Peaceful Energy, and Christian Worthrick, thank you very much for the email. Now, I want to say real quick about the email, Christian. You sent me a link and you were suggesting that I put it into the description portion of the videos. Right at this moment, I can't do it because I'm almost over on the amount of characters that I can have in the description of these videos. So I'm teetering on the edge. When the time comes when I make more time to kind of go through some of those links and maybe take out some and put some new ones in there, I'll put one in there, okay? But in the meantime, I won't be able to do it. But I want to just address one thing that you said in the beginning. That you said that you agree with some of the things, but not all the things that I said. And that's fine with me. You do not have to agree with anything that I say, really. Now, when it comes to this information, I know in my heart of hearts that what I'm saying is truthful, that Maitreya is here, he's coming back, he means us no harm, he's here to help us along with these group of masters. Same thing about the Space Brothers, that they're here to do us no harm, they're here on a spiritual mission. I have enough of my own personal experiences and evidence in my own way to know that that's true. But it doesn't mean that every little thing that I say about this information, and especially about politics, is 100% spot on. And I'll be the first to tell you that. That's why I always want to tell you, don't just take my word for it. Investigate it for yourself. You might see something different than I see in this or whatever, right? And that's why it's important to kind of be objective about it. That's why it's also important just to kind of share this information and not expect people to believe you, right? Or try to convince anybody. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm just here to tell you my side of it, and you can either see it or not. It doesn't matter. And I know a lot of people don't, but some people might see some of it. But when it comes to politics, okay, here's what I was saying, and this is what I want to talk about, because I want to address some of the things coming from a person who goes by Peaceful Energy. First thing I want to say, Peaceful Energy, is I can't guarantee this in the next few videos, but I promise you I'll at least try, that it'll be nothing but good vibes. Because when they talk about politics, it can get underneath people's skin, I'm sure, right? But it's important to remain objective when it comes to really anything, but especially when it comes to politics. The person who finds themselves swept up in the emotion of politics are really doing nobody any good, including themselves. And they're probably miserable to be around, and they're wasting a lot of their own time and energy in that whole thing. So it is best to be objective, like a detective or a lawyer or a doctor who has to leave emotion at the door and kind of be in it. And I do think that the test, and I mentioned this in the last video, would be to look at the person who perhaps is your guy or gal's political opponent, right? If you're on the right, look at the left. If you're on the left, look at the right. And if you could say, that person who I can't stand, they're doing something XYZ, if my person who I love and adore is doing that, would I be as upset about them as I am about the person that I can't stand? And if you can honestly say that to yourself, or if you've done that to from time to time, then you are objective in politics. If not, then you're not. And you really are kind of, like I said, you're not doing anybody any good, by being swept up in the emotion of politics. Now, the flip side of it, and the good thing about what's going on in politics is, Benjamin Crumb's master even talked about this decades ago. He said that around the time that Maitreya was going to come out and be known for who he is, there would be this huge interest in politics, because politics really is about the voice of the people. That's really what it is. Now, I think that people are getting swept up into sides and kind of tribalism, and that's creating the political divisions, but that's a part of the process as well, this political divisions that we're seeing. It's painful. It's not getting anything done, but it's temporary. Now, I would also suggest, if you know this information and study this information, about the two divine qualities that these masters are standing for within humanity, which is actually within the hearts of all of humanity, really, is the longing for justice and the longing for freedom. That is actually sitting within the hearts of every single person, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Christian, atheist, doesn't matter. Young, old, black, white, doesn't matter. That is within your heart. You might not be living life to that, but it's within your heart. And Maitreya says that that's within the hearts of every person. This longing for unity, oneness, which is the quality of oneness and unity, is justice and freedom. But what is true freedom? What is true justice? Well, it kind of goes hand in hand with what Benjamin Creme's master said about the future. It's the promise of revealed divinity. It's revealing the divinity within each and every one of us is true freedom. Without having anybody tell you how to think, how to be, how to feel, so you can truly be you in the truest sense of the word. That, to me, is freedom. But also being free from fear, free from uncertainty, free from distrust, free from violence, those kind of things. That's also freedom, too. Now, the right would tell you that freedom is, and where they got it right is, freedom is a divine quality. Where they're getting it wrong is that, supporting the Second Amendment is not true freedom. It's just a constitutional amendment, right? But same thing with less regulations for business is not true freedom. True freedom is being able to think for yourself, be who you are, be creative in that way, and really explore your own divinity in that way. And help others do the same thing, I guess, and be able to live life as it truly should be. That's true freedom, as far as I'm concerned. That's just my perception. Like I said, when it comes to this information, that might not be 100% true. There might be more to it than that. True justice is having your needs taken care of: food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, education, as a right, to give you the freedom to be able to explore your own inner divinity. You can't do that. You can't realize the self when you're literally starving to death, like so many people do, or living in abject poverty on less than $1 a day. You can't do it. And we have enough resources in order to live life like that for every single one of us. So is, allowing transgender athletes to compete in sports against, whatever, is that true justice? No. So I don't think that necessarily the left has gotten it 100% right either. They have a bit of the truth about justice, about equality, about the needs of the people being taken care of. And the Republicans and the right have a little bit about freedom. But Maitreya would tell you justice and freedom are one and the same thing. You can't have one without the other. So both sides are needed, and both sides are expecting at some point the other side to fall off the face of the earth, but it's not going to happen. We're all here together, and we all, I've said this before, it's a quote from a movie, but it's true. I'm only concerned about one thing, the future. And I know the only way to get there is together. We might not like each other. We might not agree with what we have to say, but we have to get there together because that's the only way to have a future for ourselves. So politically, you have to be objective. You have to be able to look at it without emotion, just as a doctor would be able to look at all this blood on the table and not get emotionally caught up in it. You're not doing anybody any good by getting caught up into the emotional aspect of things. And it's hard, it's difficult, especially when you're just getting fed one side, whether it's CNN or Fox or UAN or Newsmax or MSNBC. They're all the same thing, right? They're just on different sides of the spectrum, right? Now, it's hard, if not impossible, to receive any news feed without any opinion coming your way. So you have to also understand that you can think for yourself, right? So anyway, but let's get on into it. I wanted to kind of address a few things, peaceful energy that you said. So in terms of the World Economic Forum, can we talk about that in another video? I kind of want to just kind of keep it on the same topic, so I'm not all over the place. If that's okay, I'll try to remember to address it in the next video, or when I address questions and comments and so forth, I'll talk about it. But you said you admit Biden is corrupt, but keep attacking Trump, who is not there anymore. First of all, Trump is still out there. Okay, so let's get that straight. Now, when I said both parties are corrupt and most politicians are corrupt, not all, but most of them are, it doesn't mean that they're doing something illegal. Now, this is where it gets a little gray. Both parties and the vast majority of politicians in those parties are beholden to corporate donor special interest groups. And those corporate donors and special interest groups give them money to vote the way that they want them to vote. That's corruption, even if it's against the will of the people. But unfortunately, we're living in a society that's totally legal for them to do. Just as any member of Congress can use the information that comes their way and trade on the stock markets before the general public gets that information, and that's how they're making a lot of money that way. It's totally legal. Am I against it? Absolutely, I'm against it, right? It's illegal if somebody like Martha Stewart gets word from somebody about and then sells her share. That's illegal, right? And she went to jail for that. But yet people in Congress can do it all the time, and they're not going to jail. Do I think that's just? No, I do not, right? So that's what I'm saying about corruption. So it doesn't mean that Biden is doing anything illegal. If he is doing something illegal, listen to this. Are you listening? I have no problem with him going to jail if he does it. He won't go to jail as president because they don't prosecute presidents. That's under the law too. Will they impeach him? I don't have any real information about this or inside information, but I think that the Republicans, while they have control of the House, will impeach Biden 3 times. So they have one more time than Trump. And then maybe, possibly, when the Democrats take over, they'll impeach the next guy 4 times. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a tit for tat thing right now. It's very petty. But if you look at, and like I said, I can go on for days about the things that Trump did. So you said, you just said Biden is worse than Trump. So the thing, before I get into the classified document thing again. Okay, so I've offered this up several times to people who have said this to me. Give me 5 examples of Biden breaking the law. Give it to me. I haven't heard anything on either side, to be honest. Okay, so and I watch Fox News, just not as much as I watch the left media, but I do watch them. It's painful sometimes for me to watch it, but I do watch it, right? Because I want to try to get all sides of everything as much as possible. And, and I've listed off, in fairness, probably 24 things I think that Trump has done that is illegal. Will he ever be held accountable? No, he's not going to be going to jail for any of that stuff. When people talk about they said this and he's a part of the they. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing anything with him. Just that they won't ever do anything with Biden, so don't worry about it, man. You know what I mean? But I do think that they should be held accountable. Now let's get into the classified document thing real quick, because you brought it up. What's the difference between a vice president and how long did Biden have it and stuff like this? So I would say, and I'm fairly certain, in fact, I'm 1,000% sure, that any vice president, any president, any secretary of state or whatever like that, when it comes time for them to leave, they're not packing up their own stuff. They got staffers that are paid to do all that stuff. So did Biden actually pack all his stuff away and put it in boxes? Probably not. Could possibly some classified documents get mixed into there? Obviously it did, right? Somebody mishandled those documents, right? Which is against the law. It's against the law to do that. Now, the difference, because the law is not black and white. You're talking about the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, right? And if you know anything about law, there is a difference. Just as if somebody were to steal a candy bar at a convenience store, should they be held to the same accountability as Sam Bankman-Fried, who stole billions of dollars from people in a Ponzi scheme with FTX? No. You know what I'm saying? Did they both steal? Yes, right? But it's legally totally different. You know, if somebody, unfortunately, and it happens all the time, if somebody, accidentally killed somebody with their car, it's awful. Somebody died. Should they be held to the same letter of the law as if somebody took an AK-47 or an AR-15 and went into a place and started shooting people up, got back in their car, drove somewhere else and did the same thing somewhere else? No. Was there a death? Yes. But they should not be held accountable. So it's I think, just kind of silly to think that that things should be held, the same, even if they're not. And this is the other thing. You can do it in the world of the court of public opinion, but in a court, this isn't a defense either. Well, Biden did it, so I should be able to. No, there's no, if he did something wrong, he should be held accountable just like Trump. So let's get that straight. So that's not a defense. I know Trump would love to use that as a defense in the court of law, but that ain't happening, right? Well, I killed somebody. Well, but somebody else over there. I mean, there's people that murder people all the time. So I shouldn't be, that's not a defense. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to get anybody off. He will not do a single day in jail. I promise you that. Trump or Biden. Okay, now, will it affect Biden's chances to become president again? I don't think he was going to run for president again. So maybe it will, maybe it won't, right? Now, the difference is, I think, this is just my humble opinion, okay, could be right, could be wrong, is Biden had his staffers pack up all the stuff. Somebody mishandled the documents against the law. They found him in an office when they were moving from the Penn Biden office to somewhere else. They found these things, and they took it upon themselves to let the DOJ and the National Archives know that they had these documents, knowing that it was going to make him look really, really bad at this time. They did it. They manned up to it. I would, did he do something criminally? If he did, he should be held accountable. I've said it multiple times. Okay. Now, Trump, and this isn't coming from CNN, has actually admitted to having these documents. He did it on his social media site. What's that Twitter clone site that he has? Truth Social? Or as he put it one time, Truth Central? He can't even pronounce his own Twitter clone site. But anyway, he's admitted. He goes, those are my documents. He said it. I want them back. I'm entitled to have them back. There were nothing wrong. I declassified them with my mind. All this stuff. Now he's saying that he kept some of them as mementos, as keepsakes, because they were cool keepsakes. He admitted to it. He himself has admitted to it. There's a difference between not knowing that something got packed up and purposely taking it, right? There is a distinction there. The other thing is if he moved them from one spot to another to avoid prosecution or investigation, that's obstruction. That's against the law. That's a whole other ball of wax to deal with, right? But historically, yes, Biden had those documents when he was vice president, blah, 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 blah. The president has the right to declassify it, but they can't just declassify it in the mind, as Trump claimed. That's idiocracy. That's stupidity to even believe that. If you believe it, I'm sorry for you, but you're enthralled and caught up into something that I can't get you out of. But the president cannot think and just have classified documents declassified. If that was the case, then Biden can just say, well, I just magically classified them again. So there you go. Who's president now, right? So anyway, but what happened was, and this is coming from multiple news sources, including Fox, okay? So it's not just coming from CNN. They went down to Mar-a-Lago to ask him if he had gotten the documents. They found they found some documents missing. They went down there. Do you have them? He said, what? No, I do not have them. They said, okay. They left. Then they were like, no, he's got some documents. We need to go back. They went back and said, yes, you do have the documents. They found some documents. They gave it to him. They asked him, is this all of them? Helena Bob, his lawyer, was dumb enough to sign the affidavit saying that was all that they had. Now she's having to get a lawyer for this, because what does MAGA really stand for? Making attorneys get attorneys. She signed off on it. This is all we got. And they said, okay, this is it? Yep. They left. And then they're like, no, he's got more of them. And they probably are organized enough to know what he had. And they said, no, we got to get these back. And I bet you they were a lot more than just love letters to Kim Jong-un. They had to do with nuclear protocols, nuclear secrets perhaps, or whatever like that. And they needed them back. And they at this time went to a judge, got a legal search warrant, which is totally fine and legal to do. They went in there and they got those things out of Mar-a-Lago. And they took some other things that he had that he thought, I want those back. And he'll get them back eventually, but they went in there and got them. Now, you and I both know that if any one of us were holding on to one piece of paper that he had, that they would not have come down and asked several times first. They would have just knocked down the door, thrown us on the ground, hauled us out, taken everything out of your house, ransacked your house, and left. And not one person in the news would have backed you up on it, right? You would be sitting in jail right now, just like I would be sitting in jail, right? Now, there's also been, and I've seen videos of this, of the same boxes that they had these documents in, Trump and some of his cronies getting on a plane and taking him somewhere else. And then they started, they're thinking that they might be somewhere else. Did he up and move them over there? But he's also changed his story from this to that, to this, to that, to this, to that, which in a way proves criminal intent. If he had said, I didn't know that they were there, I didn't pack them, I am so sorry, here you go, take them back, I don't think this would have been a big deal. And if the left had made it a big deal, I would not be saying it was a big deal myself, because I'd be like, he probably didn't pack them himself. I would have said that. But like I said, and this is what I ask anybody, and it's not that I'm just harshly attacking Trump, I'm only standing up for what I see as an injustice. Trump's done more, I think, illegal activity than just taking classified documents. I have my own humble opinion as to why he was holding on to those documents, why he doesn't want to give them back, and I don't think it has anything to do with selling them to a foreign power. I think he's doing it, this is just my opinion, okay? It might not be true. He's doing it in case he does want to, do a coup in the future. He will be able to communicate with his military in a way that he wouldn't be able to do if he didn't have those documents. It's just my humble opinion. Because the other thing is, some of the other things that he's done, Biden, Obama, Hillary Clinton, nobody else has done this, where you try to tamper with an election. And I've listened to videos and audio, it's not a video, it's an audio recording. I listened to the whole hour of when he called Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of my own state of Georgia. And if you listen to the Secretary of State, tell him, he's like, there is no corruption. There was no fraud. Oh, yes, there was. Well, where is it? Where's your evidence, Mr. President? Oh, there's plenty of evidence. Well, where is it? And then he says, just find me 11,780 votes, which is one more that we need. Just find it. You can do that. And he goes, they're not there, Mr. President. We've done 3 recounts, 2 and then 1 hand recount. They've all came up with the same thing. There's nothing. There is no fraud. Oh, there's plenty of fraud. Where is the fraud? He went to 60 court cases around the country. Most of them were Trump-appointed judges. And they all threw him out of court because he doesn't have any evidence. I've even heard an audio with Steve Bannon saying, it doesn't matter who's up on election night. We're just going to say we won. Let the Democrats play catch up. That's what he said. That was the game plan from the beginning. And that's the game plan that the Republicans are doing, blah, 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 blah. But the injustice that I'm talking about toward Trump, and it's my job, it's your job, it's anybody's job to stand out against injustice. And this is coming from the masters, this is even coming from Ben, since you threw Ben in the mix, right? Is because Ben said this about the 2000 election. He said that the Republicans stole 1 out of every 4 votes, went from Gore to Bush in not every area, but in key areas to help them win. The Republicans are in the minority, and they know they're in the minority. That's why they don't want all the votes being counted all the time, because they know they're going to lose. They do everything they can to stop certain people from voting. And they've cheated. And so they cheated over and over again. Does that mean that the Democrats haven't cheated? They probably have. I think Ben's master even said that there was some chicanery on the left too, but it wasn't nearly what the right was doing. and it didn't affect anything the way that the right did. Gore actually won the election, and they stole the election from him. Bush won the election, but lost the electoral vote, but they switched it. They were able to do some chicanery so that he did get the electoral vote in 2004, according to Ben's Master. They tried it again with Obama, but Obama had such a supermajority that it didn't work. And then they tried it again with Obama the second time, same thing. But it did make it a little tighter of a race, but it actually, in reality, he got more votes than they thought. And this is coming from his master. Now, like I said, I don't have any evidence of that. There has been evidence that came out about in 2000 that there was a lot of things that the Republicans were doing from, certain precincts having more people voting than there were registered to vote. But all the things that Trump talked about what he said the Democrats were doing, which he had no evidence of, were things that the Republicans have been doing for years. And he knows it. He knows that they've been cheating, and he's throwing it back at them to try to make them, look bad, But the Republicans are way better at cheating than the Democrats have. The Democrats don't have the schmaltz to be able to do any of that stuff, to be honest. That's just my opinion of it. But the other thing is, and this is the most important part of this conversation, is I don't hate Trump, and I don't hate Trumpians that love Trump. What I do hate is the forces behind all this, is the forces of evil behind it. Because this is what Ben's Master said was behind the swell of religious fervor on the right, political right. It had to do with the forces of darkness behind it. He said it. And you can see the work and activity of them doing this, because they were also behind the pedalization of Jesus years upon years ago. The Master DK referred to it as the greatest triumph of the forces of evil was the monopolization of spirituality within religion. They did it on purpose because it works. It keeps people under control, and they're trying to do it again in politics. That's what I'm speaking out against. They're putting Trump on this pedestal. That he's standing next to God. He's no angel, as Christian Worthrick said, right? But it's okay. He's doing God's work. It's fine. He stands for God, and that's an illusion. And that's what I'm speaking out against. I'm also speaking out against this apartheid fascist right wing in this country that does not have the will of the people. That's what I'm speaking, but not out of hate, that's my duty as a person living in this country to speak out against injustice. But you have to be objective, and I am objective. And I'll say it again, and we'll end it with this. If Obama did something illegal, he should be held legally accountable. Hillary Clinton did something illegal, she should be held legally accountable. If Benjamin Creme did something illegal, he should have been held legally accountable, right? I have no problems with any of that, right? But I can also say the same thing about Trump. If Trump did something criminally illegal, he should be held criminally accountable. Hands down. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, I love you guys, and peaceful energy, like I said, I will do my best to have nothing but good vibes in the next few videos. You guys take care, enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you real soon. Take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.